All right, guys, looking ahead, we're going to start tomorrow simplifying higher order roots. So let's look at a couple examples. All right, now notice that this is not a square root. This is my index or my root is 7. Okay, so now let me show you how that works. So this is 256, so it is an even number, so it is divisible by 2. All right. That's 2 and 128, 2 and 64, 2 and 32, 2 and 16, 2 and 8. Now I'm going to bring the 8 up here. 2 and 4, 2 and 2. Now, unlike yesterday where we were circling pairs of 2's, how many you're circling is what your index is. For instance, yesterday we did the square root of, I don't know, say 48. Now, we broke that down and circled pairs of 2. Well, if it's not otherwise given, your index is a 2. It's known to be a 2. So that's the reason we were circling pairs of 2. So in this case, my index is 7. Okay. So I am circling pairs of groups of 7 of the same number. All right. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 2's. Okay. So all these 2's here. And then both of these 2's. Now, out of that whole group, I'm going to bring 1, 2 out of that whole group of 7. Okay. That goes to the outside. Okay. And then now the 2 left over, just like the other stuff, the 2 goes back inside. Now, don't forget, instead of writing it this way, don't forget to put your index back. This is your final answer here. Okay. All right, let's look at another one. Okay. Let's see. Let's mark that. Now, we're looking for groups of 4. Our index is 4. Okay, so we're going to go 2 and 24, 2 and 12, 2 and 6, 2 and 3. Now, we're looking for groups of 4 because our index is 4. Okay, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4 2's. Okay, bring 1, 2 out. Remember, we always bring 1, 2 out regardless of what the index is. If it was 10, you circle 10, 10 2's, you bring 1, 2 out. Okay, so now 2 goes on the outside, and 3 is left over, and that will go back on the inside. And don't forget to put your 4 there. Okay. Now, that's simplifying higher roots. Let's look at multiplying radicals. Now, what we're going to do here, um, the rule for multiplication is it's inside times inside, and then outside times outside. Okay. Now we have 2 inside numbers. Now there's a 1 out here. You may not, it's not shown, but there's a 1 there. Okay. Now, so we have 1 times 1 is not going to matter. 8 times 10 is 80. So square root of 80. Now, you cannot leave it that way. Okay. You need to simplify that. All right. So now remember, our index here is 2 because it's not given. Okay. So it's 2 and 40, 2 and 20, 2 and 10, 2 and 5. Okay. All right. Now, so we are circling groups of 2. Any like numbers that have 2 numbers the same. So we got 2 pairs of 2's. All right. Now we're going to multiply those back. We're going to multiply those together, put them on the outside. And then the 5 is going to go on the inside. Now you can check that if you want to. You can take your calculator. You can take your calculator and multiply that. So that's all right. See. All right. Now square root of 8 times square root of 10. That equals 8.944. Now, let's put 4 square roots of 5, see what we get. 4 square root of 5, and we get 8.94. Notice that both decimals are exactly the same. Okay, both decimals are exactly the same. That is a good indication that you have the right simplified version. Okay, so just to recap, multiply inside together, multiply outside. 1 times 1 just give us 1 on the outside. Okay, 8 times 10 gave me 80. Now you can't leave it like this. It's got to be in simplified form. Okay, so now we broke it down and got 4 square root of 5. Okay, now let's look at the next one. Okay, now notice we have 2 outside numbers, 2 inside numbers. Remember, out times out, in times in, inside times inside, outside times outside. Now, so what that's going to be, 3 times 4 is 12. 7 times 8 is 56. Okay. Now, can't leave it like that. We got to break this down. Okay. Now we're going to break this down. 2 and 28, 2 and 14, 2 and 7. Okay. Now, remember, index is 2, and unless otherwise posted there. Now, we have a pair of 2's, bring it out. Now, we do have a 2 and a 7 that do not have a pair. So what that will be, we'll go back on the inside. So what that's going to look like, expanded out, is 2, which came from here, the 12 that's already there. Make sure you put it back there. And then 2 times 7. Okay, now, multiply it together. 2 times 12 is 24. 2 times 7 is 14. That's your final answer. Okay, now, for some reason, not sure, this next problem, where you have a monomial times a binomial, tends to give students trouble. Okay, now I'm gonna mark this out and write it down here. I can't stand writing when it's a mess. Okay, plus 3 square roots of 7. Now, so now remember the rule stands true here. Inside times inside, outside times outside. Now remember, guys, as far as what that means is, inside means inside a radical, outside means outside a radical. Okay, so now make it a little more interesting. Put 3 here. Okay, now starting here. Now there's a 1 here we don't see. This here's got a 3, so we got a number, a multiplier there. Now inside times inside, outside times outside. Okay, so outside times outside. 3 times 1 is 3. 2 times 3 is 6. Plus. Now inside times inside. 2 times 7 is 14. 3 times 3 is 9. All right, now, will these break down? Well, 2 times 3, those will not break down because you don't have a pair. Okay. 14 won't break down because 2 and 7 both are prime numbers, no like numbers, so these will not break down. So your final answer is 3 square root of 6 plus 9 square root of 14. Make sure the main thing about this unit is if you have a radical, make sure you put it in its simplest radical form. That's the big key thing here in this unit. Okay. Now, I'm going to go over here to the side here. Okay. And I'm going to work out, well, let me just get another sheet of paper. All right. Let's talk about dividing radicals. Square root of 5 over the square root of 20. Now, there's several ways to do this. I was taught another way. I'm going to show you the way I think is the easiest way. Now, first of all, if you're dividing here, make sure that you do not have a perfect square. One of your top or bottom numbers is not a perfect square. Okay? Now, try to reduce these down to its lowest form. Now, I can rewrite this as this: big square root of 5 over 20. This and this are exactly the same thing. Okay. Now, if I reduce this down as a fraction, that is, and now I can both take a 5 out of both top and bottom. That'll be 1 over 4. 5 over 20 reduces to 1/4. Now, all right, now I can rewrite that back the way it was. Square root of 1 over the square root of 4. Okay? Now, square root of 1 is just 1. You should know by now, but the square root of 4 is a perfect square. That's 2. That's your final answer. Now, you can do this by rationalizing the denominator. I'll show you how to do that if you like. You can choose which way you like better. All right. Now, this radical here cannot be in the denominator. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do what they call rationalize, which means what you do, you take what is in the bottom and you multiply top and bottom by that number. Okay. Now, remember, you can multiply inside times inside. So now 5 times 20 is 100. Don't forget your square root there. 20 times 20 is 400. Okay. Now, if you know this, these both are perfect squares. Okay. 100 is a perfect square. 400 is a perfect square. The square root of 100 is 10. The square root of 400 is 20. Okay. Now, as you know, this is not in its simplest form. That will reduce to 1/2. So, guys, really, it's totally up to you how you want to do this. If you want to do the top method, a little more rules there, but I mean, I think it's easier. Okay, a lot smaller numbers. Okay, or you could do it this way by rationalizing the denominator. This will come in handy when we do special right triangles, when you have to rationalize your denominator. That'll come in handy, this method here, but it's totally up to you the way you want to do it. Just to give you a heads up, the radical unit does give students trouble, but make sure you ask me for help or watch videos. If you need me to work out a problem that I don't get to in class, let me know. I can work out on a video, and you can watch it at home or wherever. Just make sure you ask for help. Don't make sure you don't sit in class and not know what to do. Okay, several venues here on how to get help. So just make sure you ask for help. I will see you next time, probably tomorrow in class, and then we will go over some more examples.